Listen, I'm Rick Sanchez from Earth Dimension C-137. Don't mean you any harm. Coming in peace. It's all cool in the, good in the neighborhood, is what I was trying to is what I meant.
Okay, here's part 2. First we're going to rig Rick's face really quick, and then we're going to go ahead and make some mouse shapes and some switch layers so we can start talking. So I'm going to start off by creating a new layer, and we're going to create a bone layer. We'll call this head group. Head group. And I'm going to go ahead and select the mouth. I'll hold shift down and select all of my layers that I've created so far, and left click and drag those into the head group. And you can see those all moved over to the right. So everything is in that head group. If I hide it, it all disappears and it's ready to rig. So let's click on the head group, and the first thing we'll do is do his eyebrow, his unibrow. So I'm going to hit A on frame 0, and I'm going to draw one right in the middle of his eyebrow. Then I'm going to drag over a bone here to the left, and then another one to the end of his eyebrow. Then I'm going to hit B and make sure I select that center one again. So I'll hit B, select it, and hit A again, and then I'll go ahead and add a bone here. A. Oh, oops, I accidentally hit spacebar. Went into the timeline. So make sure you're on frame 0. Drag one here and then here. And then I'm going to do Command A. That selects all of them. And I'm going to turn the bone strength down because I don't want to use, I'm going to use point binding. So we'll turn the bone strength off completely. Then let's click on his eyebrow layer. Let's go ahead and bind points to these bones. So I'm going to hit B, I'll select the middle bone, and then hit G, grab the center points that I made, hit bind points. Then I'll hit B, select this bone over here, select these next 2 points, bind. And then the end bone is going to control the end of his eyebrow. We'll hit G, select the end points here, bind. Do the same on the other side, hit B, select this bone, grab those points, bind, and then hit B, select this end point or end bone, and then select those and bind those. So I'm always testing before I go too far. Let's go into the timeline a little bit. I'll hit B, select the head bone group, and make sure I grab the bottom bone, so that moves everything. Oops. That's connected to his nose. We're going to have to fix that real quick. Let's go to nose, frame 0, and why is that bound? Let's go ahead, go to the nose, and say release layer and points. Like that. And then let's try that again. Let's go ahead and move. Oops. There we go. Now it's not moving. I don't know why the nose was connected to that eyebrow, but so we can grab this in the timeline. That moves the eyebrow just fine. If I grab this bone, it moves that down and up, and then the end point, I can wiggle that and move that around too. That's just to give it a little bit more control. You can put more points or use less points in the eyebrow. It's just kind of up to you. I'm just using 2 for each bone. And let's see. So I can grab the center bone to move everything. Real easy. And if I want to change the shape, I can do that. And I think if I grab the end points, I can actually lengthen and stretch or shrink down the eyebrows as well too. So it's pretty versatile as far as getting the shapes and stuff. So we got his eyebrow rigged. Let's go ahead and take a look at his eyes. I'll hit B. Make sure you're on the head bone group, and click off on the canvas so none of these are selected. I'm going to go ahead and hit A and add a new bone over here. We're going to name this eye position. And we'll do the same thing, turn the bone strength down, hit B, and let's go ahead and turn the label on. And I'll just color it just because I like to do that. And we're gonna bind the pupils to this bone. So let's go to left eye, hit G, and grab the pupil, hit bind points, bind points. Then with that still selected, we'll go ahead and go to the right eye, hit G, select the other pupil, bind, bind. And that works. Let's go into the timeline a little bit just to test it. Select the head bone group and we'll grab this. And his eyes are working, or his pupils are working just fine. So let's go ahead and make sure they're layered correctly too. Let's go into the eyes. Left eye. So we have eyelids. So gotta make sure I grab the right point. There it is. And it is covering the eyelid. Or I mean the eye pupil. And that looks good. And so we need to rig the eyelids now. So let's go ahead and hit B. And I usually put the main control for both eyelids in the center of the head, but I'm going to go ahead and put them over to the side so it's easier to see. So I'll go ahead and select the head group. And I'm going to hit A. We'll add a new bone. So this is our main control for the top eyelids. And then while that's red, we'll go ahead and draw a little one here on the first eye. Hit B and select the main bone again. And then A. That way this second one that we draw will be linked directly to it. So if I hit P, you can see the parenting. This bone, oops, didn't mean to do that. This bone and this bone are both controlled by this one, the main one that we just made. And I'll go ahead and hit B. Let's go ahead and hit Command A just to select all the bones and then turn the strength down on those two. So we don't want that. Okay. So because this bone right here and this bone right here are both controlled by this one, we can do this real quick. I'll hit B. Now we got to make sure we bind to the right point, but let's go the right eye. Let me hit T for a second. I'm going to grab this point, and this is the one that we want. So we're going to, now that we know that we've grabbed the right one and it's selected, let's bind points, and then just put it back into place. So I'll go ahead and drag that up here. And then let's select the left eye. Hit T. And that is the right one. So let's hit B. Select the bone we want it to pair to. And then hit G and select the point and bind. Hit T and move it back into place. So now let's go into the timeline and check everything again. So if I go to the bone group, if I grab the end part of this one, I can move this eyelid independently, or I can move this one independently, or I can move them both together like that. So let me delete the keyframes here. So again, this way we can make him blink really easy, but if we need to make him look drunk or something, we can actually move the eyelids individually as well, which is real handy. Okay, we're going to do the same thing for the bottom. Go to frame 0. And again, let's do this a little bit more labeling. I'll select this bone, rename it upper eyelid, and show label. Well, you can't really see it. Wait. Oops. Upper eyelid. There you go. So now you can see it's labeled right there. We don't need to rename these. I mean, you can if you want to, but you know what they are. So I'll hit B. We're going to create another bone, but let's click on the canvas. So nothing's selected. And I'm going to show you a common mistake. So what happens if you don't do the bones in the right order? So I'll hit A. So this is going to be our bottom eye eyelid. That's the main one. And then I'm going to draw this one right here. And then normally like on the top, I said to hit B, select this bone, and then hit A and then draw the next one. But if you keep this one selected and then hit A, and then draw the bone for the eyelid. Let's go ahead and do a Command A, select all the bones, turn the strength down. But now if I hit P, see this bone is connected to the main one, but then the other eyelid is connected to this one, which will cause problems. So let's go ahead and rig it just so you can see how that's going to mess things up. I'm going to hit B. I'm going to move the bone kind of right into place here. Let's go to the left eye. Hit T. And make sure we grab the eyelid point and bind points. And then we'll do the same. Oh, let's move it back into place first. Hit B, select this bone. Do the right eye. Hit T. Make sure we grab the eyelid. And we'll bind that as well. Move it back into place. And now let's go into the timeline. Go to the head group. And if I go into the timeline, so I can grab this main bone. This one's not even moving either. Hold on. Let's hit P and see the parenting real quick. Oh, crap. Well, this is okay. This is why I'm leaving this in. This is a mistake. I think I erased all my parenting on accident. So I don't think anything's bound together correctly anymore. So what I did was I hit Command A and it selected every bone. And then I hit P and I clicked on the canvas, which erased all of the links. So that's okay because that happens a lot and it's something that you might run into. So let's reparent some stuff. Okay, I'm gonna hit B. So this bone in the eyebrow, I'm gonna hit B, then I'm gonna hit P and select the center bone. I'm gonna hit B, select this end bone. This one we want it to link to the one next to it, so hit P and then have it point to that one. And I'm gonna do the same on this side. We'll hit B, select this bone. We want it to point to the center. And then hit B, select this bone and have it point to its neighbor right here. Okay, that's the correct binding for that. And then for the upper eyelids, let's go ahead and hit B. I'm gonna drag and select both of them, and I'll hit P to parent, and we'll parent it, and both of those should point right over to this one. And then what I was trying to show you is we'll go ahead and select this bone here. We'll parent it, hit P and parent it over here. And then hit B, select this one, and then parent it to this one. And this is the incorrect. So now it's pointing to our neighbor. So let's go back into the timeline. I'll hit B. Let's check everything again. That moves the eyebrow. Yep, that's all working. Good. Upper eyelids look good. We can move those independently too. But now let's check out the bottom. So it appears like it's working fine too when we grab the main eyelid bone. But if I grab this one and move it, because this one's parented to this one, it's going to move this one. So let's go ahead and reparent. Hit B, select this, and then hit P and parent it to our main bone as well, like that. Oops. On frame 0. Let's do that again. Parent. There we go. Now let's go into the timeline and let's see if everything works. Hit T and we'll go ahead and start moving some stuff. That works correctly. And we can move these independently. Oops. Make him look drunk. And there we go. So the eyes are all rigged correct. Let's go ahead and turn the label on it, or make this, select it, hit B, go ahead and rename it lower eyelid. And you don't have to do that. Again, this is just for your own benefit, or, you know, if kind of keep track of things. And maybe I'll name this. It's gonna get lost in there. Eyebrow. Main. Turn the label on. All right, and you can rename you can name everything if you want to, if it helps you organize things. But so now, let's see. So we can grab this, and we can grab this side so we can have them blink. And we can grab the eyes to make sure that those work right, or eyeballs. Pupils, that's what they're called. And it looks good. And it's okay that they're floating. I mean, we're not going to move them outside of the eyes. It's just we need to make sure that they're covered by the eyelids. And that's really it for the eyes. Now let's go ahead and do the mouth. Oh, here's another tip or trick I guess you can do. You can combine smart bone actions. So let's go back to frame 0. So now that we were able to create a blink, we can also create a smart bone action, so it's a little easier, so we only have to move one bone. So let's go ahead and hit B, click on the canvas so there's no bone selected. I'll hit A, draw a new bone. We'll rename this blink. And turn the bone strength down. Hit B. And turn the label on. Color that as well. And with our actions, here, let's close that. Go to window and open the action window again. Smart bones. Click on that. Type in blink. If you've typed it correctly, it'll turn blue. So on frame 1, we don't need to actually add a whole bunch of frames. That's not necessary. Anime Studio or MOHO will interpolate or create the frames in between for you. So just on frame 1, let's go ahead and hit T, and we'll just rotate it. I'm just going to do 45 degrees to the right. And then after we've rotated that, let's grab the upper eyelid, bring that down halfway, and then the lower eyelid, we'll grab those and bring those up like that, and double click back into the timeline. So now you don't even have to mess with these. You can, if you want to, grab the individual bones in the face, but we can go in the timeline, and I can just click here to create a keyframe on the blink bone, tap a couple times over with my right arrow key, and I can rotate the blink, and then tap right arrow a couple more times and open the eyes as well. So now I've got him blinking. I can actually change the pacing. I can make him blink a little bit slower by moving these keyframes. And I can copy and paste them, so I can do Command C, and then Command V in another location, and now I've got him blinking. And then, like on the second blink, I can actually come in here, click on my eyebrow, and I'm making keyframes for all of the eyebrow positions. And I'll come over here. And there we go. Oops. I needed to make a keyframe of this one. Where does it start moving? The main one. You know what? Let me go frame 0. You know, I'm gonna move this main bone up and away a little bit, so It's a little easier to control. And that way it's easier to grab. Okay. So let me grab all these. Okay. I'll copy this blank. And then with all of, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hit B, select just all the eyebrow bones. I'm going to do a Command F. So that creates a keyframe, and then now I can hit T. Move this one up, move this down. Oh, dang it. Undo, undo. Let's Command F, freeze frame. Hit B. There we go. All I was trying to do was not move it until the second blink. There we go. Sorry, getting sidetracked a little bit. Okay, so now we have the eyes rigged. Let's go ahead and make the mouths. Let me start off really quick showing you I added a little bit of extra stuff to the mouth. I'm going to hit T or G, and I'll click on the top lip and the bottom lip holding shift down so they're both selected, and I'll go ahead and hit T and move this out of the way. And you can see that, oops, let me go to frame 0. I have teeth, and I added gums to the teeth as well. Let me, I'm gonna hit T, select it, hold G down, or hold shift down, click on the teeth too so I can grab both of those. Let me fix these real quick. So, hit G, grab these endpoints, I'll hit C to curve, and I'm curving them outward. Click left mouse button and then drag to the right. Yeah, let me space these out a little bit. Like that. Do the same with the bottom. Let me move the tongue out of the way too. Ah. So one of the problems that you might come across when you're making something that has a lot of points or is really complex, like this mouth, is trying to select the right points, especially when they're overlapping. So I'm going to show you something really quick. It's how to group points, not group layers, but just the points within a single layer. So I'm going to go ahead and hit G, and I'll go ahead and select the top teeth. And up here in the top left, I'm going to go ahead and name this group of points top teeth. And then I'll hit create. And then I'll hit G, grab the bottom teeth, and rename those. Bottom teeth. And hit create. I'll go ahead and hit T and select the tongue. Then hit G, and we'll go ahead and name that tongue. Create, and I'll go ahead and do something else here that's going to help me with making mouth shapes. Is I'll hit T, I'm going to go to the lips, and I'll go ahead and open the mouth a little bit just so I can grab the lips. I'm going to add another couple points so I can make better shapes with the mouth. I hit C, curve these out. Out the sides for a second. Let me just double check everything. So to use the groups, all you have to go is select group, and I'll go ahead and select the top teeth and move those just to make, I just want to make sure that everything's still in the right order. Tongue is behind the teeth, and bottom teeth, yeah, it's all good. So let's go ahead and put everything back into place. the teeth there. Don't need to use the group selection because that's easy enough to grab by itself. And then I'll go ahead and hit G, grab my mouth, and put that kind of into place. And, oh, I'm going to make one more group. That's going to make this a lot easier. So let's go ahead and select the bottom teeth. Move those over here. And I'm going to go ahead and grab the tongue real quick. Put that there. Then I'll hit G, and I'm going to grab the bottom points of the lip and hold shift down and keep selecting the teeth, bottom teeth, the tongue, and this point right here. And I think that should be good. And then we'll just name this bottom jaw and create that as well. And then I'll hit G. I'm going to go ahead and select everything. And then move this into place. Right about there. Hit T, and I'll go ahead and close his mouth really quick. Oops. And if you have a lot of points, here's a good trick or technique. I want to select the points of the mouth to move them. So I can just click on the line, and then I can see where the points are. And I'll hit T and go ahead and grab them. And I'll close his mouth. And let's see. I'll hit C and curve these back to straight for a second. So this is our first mouth. We'll just we'll go ahead and rename this. We'll call it closed. Closed neutral. Neutral. And hit apply and OK. So that's our first mouth, but we want to use switch layers when we're having our character talk. So I'll go ahead and create a new layer and create a new switch layer or a group, and we'll call this mouths. I'll click on that layer that we have our mouth, the closed neutral mouth, and left click and drag it into that folder so it moves over a little bit to the right. And now the easiest way for me to create a set of mouths is to just duplicate one and then alter it slightly. So we'll go ahead and do that. I'll do this and call this closed smile. And this is going to save you a lot of time on making new mouths. So I'll just make them smile a little bit. And let's see. Again, I'm just clicking on the line of the lips and then seeing where those points are so I can move them. I'll hit G, grab these little, I don't know what you call them, mouth, jaw line, I don't know, whatever they are that Rick has, and move these up like that. And kind of position that. Then we have closed smile done. We'll go ahead and do frown, close frown. Duplicate, frown, and I'll hit G. I'm gonna grab, hit G, hold shift down and grab these, grab the ends of the lips and these points over here, hit T and just move all of that down at the same time, make it a little easier. And you can always come back and fine tune your artwork or mouse. I'm gonna do this kind of fast just so this video isn't super long, which it already is. Okay, now I'm gonna go with closed neutral. I'm gonna duplicate that again, and this is where making those groups come into play. We're gonna go ahead and make our first mouth shape cons, which is the consonants. Let's do that. And it's going to be kind of hard to click on the tongue and the teeth and the bottom of the lips, so we'll just go to select group and select bottom jaw. And then I can just drag that open like that. And then hit T. Then I can move the lips. So the consonants is when the teeth are just together. I'll go ahead and select bottom teeth. Move those up so they're touching. And I'm kind of adjust the mouth. Hit C to curve that out. And open his mouth up on the sides a little bit. Like that. Let's move this up just a little bit. Okay, that's good enough. Tongue. Maybe move the bottom teeth down just a little. And top teeth. Again, you don't have to spend a whole lot of time doing this at the beginning. Just get your basic mouth shapes together. And let me adjust his little side things. Side jowls, maybe? I don't know what they're called. So there's our consonants. Now we're going to do the next mouth sound, which is eh for me. And I'm making them kind of in the order of how much I use them. So we'll copy the cons. We'll call this EH. So that's the eh sound. We'll go ahead and select the bottom jaw group again. Open that up a little bit so there's some space, just like that. And that's already done. We'll duplicate the eh, and then we're going to do the ah sound. And grab that, move it, open some more. And for when I use the ah sound, I like to have the tongue showing. So bring the tongue up a little bit. Let's make the bottom jaw go down even more. That might be too big. I don't know, we'll move some stuff around. Oops. I shouldn't play with this too much. Again, I'm gonna make this super long. But I don't like cutting my videos up or editing them very much, just so you guys can see if I make mistakes and stuff. So, and let's move the tongue up a little bit. I'll even make it a little smaller. Oh. Like that. And then let's do L, and we'll duplicate the ah mouth and call this L. And I'll go ahead and grab the bottom jaw again, move it up just a little bit, and I'm gonna put the tongue, I'm gonna make it touch the back of the top teeth. That looks a little bit more like an L sound. Oops. Maybe bring in the sides of the mouth a little bit, just so it kind of differentiates from the other mouth, the ah mouth. L. Let's go ahead and do O. And O, R, and W are all pretty much the same type of mouth, so we'll go ahead and duplicate the L. And now I'm going to grab the lips, and I can just click on the line itself, and I'm going to hold Option down, and it shrinks it into the center. Like that. I'll hit T and then C to curve this so it's a little bit more rounded. Let's move the tongue out of the way. I'll just shrink it, move it out of the way. Let's select the bottom teeth, move that down a little bit. Top teeth, move that up just a little bit. I'll click on the mouth again. And again, holding Option down, I can shrink it and it'll shrink to the center. And then we'll grab the sides. Hit T, move those in. Being careful not to expose the teeth or the gums. I'm going to shrink the gums so I can bring the side jowls or whatever they are in. Hit T, kind of adjust that. Oops. Like that. And there's the oath. Oh, I didn't rename it. Double click the layer. O, comma, R, comma, W. So those are the sounds that I would use for this mouth. Hit OK. And then, let's see. Oh, we need F or V. So that's just a little bit. Let's go to the mouth and then duplicate that. And we'll just call this F, comma, V. So if there's ever a speaking, if you're lip syncing an F or V, we will go ahead and grab the sides of the mouth, kind of arc them down just a little bit. Bring the bottom lip up to touch the teeth. Maybe curve them out a little bit. And I know I've said this several times already, but you know, always remember that you can change this at any time. Even if you've done your entire animation and you're like, oh, these mouths don't look right, go to frame 0 and change them, and it'll change in your timeline too. So that, and I'm just moving the upper lip a little bit, and maybe even make the, oops, good enough. Okay, so now we've got a very basic set of mouths. I've seen, you know, Japanese animation, they just open and close a lot of times. Especially in series, so you can have as little or as many mouths as you want, but we're gonna make a smart bone so we can lip sync pretty fast. And I'm gonna go ahead and reorder these in the way that I use them the most. So the first one is close neutral. I'll left click, drag it up to the top of my mouths folder. Then we're gonna go to cons, and then and then ah. And it's also, they're kind of in order of the way your mouth would open and close too. If you notice, go close, then cons, the teeth touching, and then a little bit more open, then even more open, and then we're gonna go L, and then we'll do the O-R-W, and then the F sound, and I'm gonna leave the frowning and frown and smile at the bottom. And okay, so now we've got those mouths. I'll go and click on the head group, the bone layer, and we're gonna create a smart bone just for the mouths. So let's go ahead and hit A, draw a bone here. You can do it anywhere on the canvas. I'll rename this mouths. I'll go ahead and click bone strength and turn it all the way down. Click left click, drag to the left so it turns it off, and I'll hit B and go ahead and show the label, and I just like coloring it. And now we'll go to the window, actions, smart bone tab, and then new. Now we'll type in mouths. Hit OK, and it turns blue, which means you did it correctly. And we're gonna go ahead and right click on the mouth switch layer, and we'll go ahead and select close neutral for our first one. Then I'm gonna hit the right arrow so it moves over one frame. Then we'll right click the switch layer, select cons, and then hit right arrow so it moves over. Right click, select the next mouth shape, right arrow, right click, next shape, right arrow, right click, next shape, right arrow, right click, next shape, and keep doing that all the way until you get to the very last mouth, the closed smile, or whatever mouth you have. So now we have these keyframes right down here, and the last thing we need to do is we need to go back to and click on the head group. It'll still be blue in the timeline, and hit T, and we'll go ahead and rotate the bone. So I'll go ahead and rotate it, click in the center of it and rotate it to the right. Hold shift down so it snaps at a 45-degree angle. You can make it go all the way down, or you can make it smaller or big as of a tilt as you want. And we'll double click the main timeline so it's back to normal. Let's close the action window for a second. Now we can, let's right click on the mouths and start with close neutral. So there's his neutral mouth, and if we go into the timeline and click on the head group, and I'll hit T, now you can see we can cycle through Rick talking with all those mouths that we just made. So we've got the mouths, we've got a blink, we can grab individual, or we can grab the group of eyelids, upper or lower, by themselves. We can grab individual eyelids, and we can position the eyes, and we can also grab the eyebrow and start animating that as well. And that's it for as far as rigging the head goes. So I think I'm gonna end the video for now for the head. We'll do the head turn in the next one, but I'll go ahead and show you really quick. I'll go ahead and lip sync some audio here with what we have so far. So let me go over to my groups. I'm gonna go ahead and click insert audio or add audio clip, and I'll hit this one right here. And we have the sound bite.
Rick Sanchez from Earth Dimension C137. Don't mean you any harm. Coming in peace.
So I'll go ahead and start by getting close to where the audio sound starts. Click on my head group. And I'm just going to go through how I lip sync really quick. Well, not super quick, but I'll go ahead and hit T and click on the mouth, smart bone mouth that we just made. And then I'm also going to turn on step. This way, this switches from one frame of the mouse to the next one without going in between or interpolating. So what does he say first?
Listen, I'm Rick Sanchez from Earth Dimensions.
So listen, I'm Rick Sanchez. So I'll go back here. Listen. So I'll go ahead and pick the L mouth, and I'm just using my right arrow key to move or scrub through the timeline, the left and right. And all I'm doing is I'm listening to the sounds and matching them up. So listen. So listen, S sound is a consonant, so the teeth are together. N is a consonant. I'm Rick Sanchez. So even though it's I'm gonna use the A mouth. I'm, so the M mouth is closed. Rick. So I'm gonna use the O sound for R, or O mouth. Rick. Sanchez. N is con. S. So a lot of time, yeah, just listen for the S's and the N's. Anytime you hear a consonant like T or D or anything, the mouth is going to be kind of closed with the teeth touching. So I'm listening more for that than anything. Sometimes I need to go back and play what he's saying. From. So the F is right about here. So use that. From. Use the O mouth. Earth. Earth. R. Earth dimension. R. The R starts right about there. I know it sounds weird because I'm trying to vocalize what I'm thinking in my mind as I'm trying to match the sounds. Dimension, so there's an M, closed mouth. Chun.
C137.
C137. E1. So W is actually an O mouth. One. There's an N. 30. Seven. Where's that seven? The V. V. Let's take a look at it so far.
Listen, I'm Rick Sanchez from Earth Dimension C137. Don't mean you.
That's probably, that should be an R. Third.
Listen, I'm Rick Sanchez from Earth Dimension C137. Don't mean you any harm.
Don't mean you any harm. So, don't. M right there. Mean. You. Any. Harm. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and finish this really quick, this quote, and I think that'll be it for this video. Like I said, next video, I'm going to try and record that today, though, so it gets right up, and we'll work on turning the head, looking left to right, and maybe a little bit up and down. And then after that, we will build his body, and that should go fairly fast, and we should be good. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it all the way through to here, thank you. If you have any comments or questions, just leave them down below.
Listen, I'm Rick Sanchez from Earth Dimension C137. Don't mean you any harm. Coming in peace. It's all cool in the good in the neighborhood is what I was trying to is what I meant.